Welcome back to our channel. Everyone, today we're diving into a topic that many of you are probably familiar with, especially when it comes to the descendants of Adam and Eve. It's one of the most well-known stories from their lineage, and that is, of course, the story of Cain and Abel. When people think about the family trees that sprouted from Adam and Eve, the first story that often comes to mind is this poignant tale of sibling rivalry, love, jealousy, and tragedy. It's a narrative that has been passed down through generations and remains a central part of many discussions about early biblical history and human nature. So, let's explore this story in detail, along with its significance and the broader context of their descendants. Nevertheless, a significant number of people often fail to pay attention to or give proper consideration to the various other biblical stories and references that mention the numerous other sons and daughters of Adam and Eve. These accounts, though sometimes less emphasized, provide additional insight into their descendants and the broader narrative. Ignoring these parts of the scripture can lead to an incomplete understanding of the biblical family tree and the complex web of relationships that are described across different texts. It's important to recognize that these stories, when taken into context, help paint a more comprehensive picture of early human history as portrayed in the Bible, highlighting the diversity and expansion of the human lineage beyond just the well-known figures. Who exactly were these daughters, and what do we know or can infer about their identities and roles? Additionally, I will examine how many daughters they might have had, considering various interpretations and traditional accounts. We'll look into different perspectives, texts, and theories surrounding these women, trying to piece together a clearer picture of their place in the biblical story and historical context. This exploration aims to shed more light on the lesser-discussed members of the earliest human family, according to this narrative, and to understand their significance in the broader story of humanity's origins. By drawing upon a variety of sources, including the Book of Jubilees, the Holy Bible, and the many ancient traditions that have been passed down through generations, I will explore and examine the intriguing history of these daughters of Adam. My goal is to shed light on their origins, stories, and significance within the broader context of human history and spiritual beliefs, offering a comprehensive understanding rooted in these rich and diverse texts. If this particular topic has ignited your curiosity or grabbed your attention in any way, I invite you to go ahead and click the like button on this video to show your support. Also, I encourage you to leave a comment below with your thoughts, questions, or insights related to the subject. Make sure to stay tuned and keep watching, because there will be more related content coming up soon that you won't want to miss, offering you even more in-depth information and engaging discussion. The hidden and often overshadowed story concerning the daughters of Adam and Eve is a subject that rarely comes into conversation or scholarly focus. It is a topic that tends to be neglected or dismissed by theologians, biblical scholars, and even by individuals who hold a genuine curiosity about sacred scriptures and their deeper, lesser-known narratives. The intrigue surrounding Adam and Eve's daughters is truly captivating. Usually when individuals delve into the Bible, their attention gravitates toward the more prominent sons of Adam and Eve, like Cain, who is their firstborn, and Abel. These figures dominate the narrative, often overshadowing their sisters. The existence and role of Adam and Eve's daughters are less discussed and understood, yet they raise many compelling questions about early humanity, family dynamics, and how those unnamed daughters might have influenced or participated in the unfolding history. Their story, or lack thereof, sparks curiosity about what little mention there is and what these women might have experienced or contributed that has been largely overlooked in traditional interpretations of the biblical text. It's a fascinating area of biblical scholarship, prompting us to think more deeply about the hidden chapters and the quiet voices from that ancient time. However, They often forget that Adam and Eve had many daughters. Genesis 5, verse 4 to 5, provides intriguing information about the sons and daughters of Adam. The original statement highlights that Adam's lifespan extended for 800 years following the birth of his son, Seth. During this extensive period, Adam was not only a father to Seth, but also had other sons and daughters. In total, Adam lived for a remarkable 930 years before he passed away, encompassing all the years from his creation up to his death, including the time after Seth's birth and his ongoing fatherhood of multiple children. The Bible, in its canonical texts, does not specify or reveal the names of Adam and Eve's daughters, leaving their identities somewhat shrouded in mystery. Nevertheless, ancient Jewish traditions, which have been preserved through various religious writings and oral histories, especially in the non-canonical texts like the Book of Jubilees, offer intriguing insights into these early figures. In particular, the Book of Jubilees, a pseudepigraphal work from the Second Temple period, provides additional details and names for some of Adam and Eve's children, shedding light on the lineage and stories that traditional biblical accounts briefly mention or omit entirely. The Book of Jubilees, which is sometimes referred to as the Little Genesis, is a text that belongs to the category of writings known as the Old Testament Apocrypha. This ancient work is considered outside the canon of the traditional Hebrew Bible and Christian Old Testament, yet it holds historical and religious significance for certain communities. It offers a detailed retelling of biblical history, often with a focus on the chronological order and the dates of events, covering from creation up to the giving of the law at Mount Sinai. The book's name, Jubilees, is derived from its focus on dividing history into jubilee periods, each lasting 50 years, as a means of organizing and understanding the flow of biblical events. Despite its non-canonical status, the Book of Jubilees has been influential among various ancient Jewish and Christian groups, providing additional insights and interpretations of biblical narratives. It recounts the story of how the world was brought into existence, detailing the processes and moments that led to the creation of the universe, including the formation of the heavens, the earth, and all living things within it. It also describes the specific formation of the first humans, Adam and Eve, highlighting their origins, roles, and the significance of their creation. Additionally, the narrative shares stories featuring various characters from the Old Testament, especially those found in the Book of Genesis, providing insights into their lives, actions, and the lessons they offer through their experiences, struggles, and triumphs. It is interesting and noteworthy that the Bible specifically mentions Moses spending a total of 40 days and 40 nights on Mount Horeb, also known as Mount Sinai, during which he neither ate nor drank water, all while in the presence of God. This period of fasting and divine encounter is highlighted as a unique and significant event in the biblical narrative, emphasizing Moses' remarkable dedication and the profound nature of his communion with the divine during this time. Because the text is so ancient and old, we cannot rule out the possibility that Moses was truly the original author. The historical and traditional context surrounding the document lends some weight to the idea that Moses might have been the one who composed it, even though definitive proof remains elusive. The antiquity of the material makes it difficult to dismiss outright the chance that he wrote it himself, considering the enduring belief and significance attributed to him in related traditions. Therefore, given the historical time frame and the cultural importance, it remains entirely feasible that Moses was indeed the author of this ancient text. The Book of Jubilees carries a deep and meaningful significance within Israelite culture, reflecting their rich religious and historical traditions. It is considered an important text that contains valuable teachings, history, and laws that have shaped their identity over generations. Accordingly, multiple copies of the Book of Jubilees have been widely distributed among the people, ensuring that many individuals have access to its content. This widespread distribution underscores its importance as a cultural and spiritual resource intended to preserve and pass down their heritage through the dissemination of its messages and stories. Additionally, it makes reference to another enigmatic and somewhat legendary text known as the Book of Enoch, which was a book shrouded in mystery and regarded as apocryphal by many. Interestingly, this particular book was widely acknowledged and well known among early Christian communities, and in some instances, it was even considered an integral part of their biblical canon, highlighting its significance and influence during those early periods. This highlights the significance of paying attention to the Book of Jubilees and not dismissing it lightly, as it holds accounts and events that closely correspond with the narratives found within the Bible. Ignoring or overlooking this work could mean missing out on valuable insights or details that reinforce or complement biblical stories. The connections within the Book of Jubilees serve to deepen our understanding of the biblical timeline and the historical context of these events, emphasizing why it deserves careful consideration and study. Recognizing its relevance may shed new light on familiar stories, offering a broader perspective on the biblical tradition and its historical roots. Therefore, it's worthwhile to acknowledge the importance of this ancient text and consider its contents as an integral part of understanding biblical history and theology. Now, turning our attention back to Adam and Eve, it's interesting to consider the additional insights offered by different ancient Semitic and Abrahamic traditions. According to some of these traditions, the very first daughter born to Adam and Eve was named Awan, a name that appears in Phoenician Hebrew sources. The meaning of this name is quite evocative, as it signifies concepts like potency or perhaps vice, suggesting deeper symbolic implications about her role or nature within these mythologies. These nuances in naming and symbolism can shed light on how early cultures perceived aspects of humanity, gender, morality, and the divine through their stories and language. Awan held a unique and somewhat complex role in the family, being both the wife and sister of Cain, who was one of the children born to Adam and Eve. This dual relationship is noteworthy within the genealogical and narrative traditions surrounding their story. As the daughter of Adam and Eve, she was a sibling to Cain, yet she also became his wife, which was a common occurrence in early Genesis narratives to ensure the continuation of family lines. According to the ancient text known as the Book of Jubilees, which offers additional perspectives on biblical stories, Awan and Cain had children together. Among their offspring was a son named Enoch, whose story is also part of the broader family lineage. This account highlights the interconnectedness of their family and the way early biblical traditions often merge familial roles and relationships, emphasizing dynastic continuity and the significance of their descendants in the overarching narrative. According to the account found in the Bible, Cain, after being banished as a consequence of murdering his brother Abel, took it upon himself to build a city. This city was named Enoch, a name that was specifically chosen to honor his son, thereby possibly reflecting a desire to establish a legacy or a form of remembrance for his lineage despite the tragic circumstances. The story highlights how Cain's actions and consequences led him to settle and establish a settlement, which he named Enoch, as a lasting testament to his son and perhaps to his own survival and continuity amid exile. Although the name Awan appears in a number of texts from the Abrahamic tradition, in certain writings including the Cave of Treasures, she is known by a different name, Kelma. According to these traditional narratives, Kelma held the position of being the wife of Cain, who is a prominent figure in their stories, and she was recognized as the eldest daughter born to Adam and Eve. These traditions place her in a significant familial role, emphasizing her status within their lineage. Meanwhile, in various ancient Semitic customs and tales, the second daughter of Adam and Eve was known as Azura, marking her as another notable figure among their children. These accounts highlight the different roles and identities attributed to their daughters within different cultural and religious contexts, illustrating how these stories have persisted and evolved through time across various traditions. Azura ultimately became the wife of Seth, who was the third son born to Adam and Eve, emerging into the world after the tragic death of Abel. The name Seth itself carries Hebrew theological significance, closely tied to the idea of compensation, substitution, or renewal. This name reflects a deeper symbolic meaning in the context of biblical narratives, representing a continuation or an offering of new life following loss and grief. And this holds considerable significance because, for Adam and Eve, Seth is viewed as a kind of replacement or surrogate for Abel, offering a form of divine recompense or compensation for the loss of Abel. In their perspective, Seth serves to fill the void left by Abel's absence, and through Seth, they perceive a divine intervention that restores a sense of balance or fulfillment in their lineage. His arrival and role symbolize the idea of divine grace or providence, providing continuity and hope, even after such a tragic loss, reinforcing the notion that divine benevolence compensates when human suffering occurs. Seth is portrayed as a virtuous and devout descendant, whose noble lineage traces all the way back to Noah, a pivotal figure in the biblical narrative of the flood. His heritage places him at the heart of a lineage that played a vital role in the preservation of human life through extraordinary hardship. As a righteous individual, Seth's reputation reflects a deep commitment to faith and moral integrity, emphasizing his importance within the tradition. His connection to Noah underscores his significance as part of a divine lineage entrusted with the continuation of humanity, ensuring that despite catastrophic events, life endured through their ancestors' faithfulness and divine favor. The Book of Jubilees offers an intriguing and somewhat lesser-known detail, revealing that Azura was originally married to Abel and became a widow following his tragic death. When Seth finally reached the stage of maturity and readiness, he entered into marriage with Azura, forming a bond that was both profound and enduring. Their union marked a significant milestone in his life, symbolizing growth, commitment, and the beginning of a new chapter. From this marriage, the lineage of Seth was born and continued to flourish, establishing a legacy that would carry forward through generations, each bearing the mark of their union and the history they shared. The ancient text, known as the Book of Jubilees, tells us specific details about Azura's early life and family connections. According to this record, Azura was born during the 6th week of the 4th Jubilee cycle, marking a particular period of time in their ancient calendrical system. Later, in the subsequent 5th week, she entered into marriage with her own brother Seth, as part of the familial arrangements described in the tradition. During the 6th week of the 4th year, she brought a son into the world, whom she named Enos. As time went on, Enos grew older and eventually reached adulthood. Once he was fully grown, he entered into marriage with his sister, Noah. This significant union took place during the 3rd week of the 5th Jubilee, marking an important milestone in their lives and the timeline they followed. Noah was the beloved daughter of Seth and Azura, born into a lineage of significance. From a young age, she was recognized for her gentle spirit and strong character, embodying the virtues passed down through her family. Enos, one of her brothers, was especially renowned among their kin for his devout way of life. As a son of Seth and Azorah, he carried a reputation for being exceptionally pious, demonstrating unwavering devotion and a sincere commitment to worshiping God. His life was marked by a steadfast adherence to faith, making him well known not only within their family, but also in the broader community for his exemplary spiritual dedication. The main biblical mention of Enos appears within the passages of Genesis, specifically chapters 5, 6 through 11, which collectively detail his genealogical lineage. In these texts, it is recorded that Seth, Enos's father, lived for 105 years before he became a father himself. At that time, Seth fathered Enos, marking an important point in the ancestral line that connects various generations as described in biblical records. Following the birth of Enos, Seth continued to live for an additional 807 years, throughout which he had numerous sons and daughters, adding to his family and legacy. In total, Seth's lifespan extended to 912 years before he eventually passed away, marking the end of his long and apparently prosperous existence. Enos, reaching the age of 90, fathered a son whom he named Caiman. Throughout his long life, Enos continued to live for a total of 815 years, during which he fathered several sons and daughters, expanding his descendants. Over the course of his existence, Enos's lifespan extended to an impressive 905 years before he eventually passed away, leaving behind a legacy that spanned many generations. 26. It is specifically noted that during Enos's era, the people started to invoke and call upon the name of the Lord more intentionally and frequently than before, marking a significant moment in spiritual history. This passage indicates that Enos was a key figure in encouraging and fostering a sense of worship and heartfelt devotion to God among the descendants of Seth. His influence appears to have been instrumental during a time when people were particularly focused on spiritual and religious pursuits, seeking a deeper connection with the divine. Enos's contributions helped shape a period characterized by heightened spiritual awareness, where faith and reverence for God became more prominent in the community's collective life. According to the ancient and revered text known as the Book of Jubilees, which is part of the broader Semitic Jewish tradition and holds a significant place in historical and religious lore, Cain, the figure often discussed in these origin stories, entered into a marriage with his own sister named Awan. This union between Cain and Awan is believed to have led to the beginning of the lineage commonly associated with Cain himself, establishing a familial line that, according to these ancient traditions, traces back directly to their union. Conversely, Seth entered into matrimony with his sister Azorah, which led to the establishment of the lineage known as the Sethites. This union was significant in shaping the early branches of human descendants. Naturally, one might find oneself curious about the number of offspring Adam and Eve produced, specifically, how many sons and daughters they had, as it often sparks questions about the early generations and the succession of humanity. The biblical account suggests that they had a large number of sons and daughters, implying a considerable family size. Given Adam's remarkably long lifespan, which exceeded 800 years, it is reasonable to infer that he had ample time to father many children. This extended lifespan would have allowed for multiple generations of offspring, contributing to a substantial and growing family over the centuries. The text's mention of numerous children underscores the idea that family and descendants played an important role, especially considering the lengthy years Adam lived. providing a timeline sufficient for the proliferation of his lineage. According to ancient traditions, Adam and Eve were exceptionally fertile, surpassing any recorded human fertility. They are believed to have had hundreds of sons and daughters throughout their lives. In modern times, the woman with the highest recorded number of children in human history, according to Guinness World Records, where she reportedly had 69 surviving children, with only 2 dying at a young age. Valentina Vassiliev underwent 27 pregnancies, resulting in 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets. Although numerous reports exist of women who have given birth to exceptionally large families, with some having 50 children and others even reaching up to 60, Valentina Vassiliev continues to hold the official record as the woman with the most children. Despite the stories and claims about extraordinarily large collections of offspring, Valentina Vassiliev's name is still the one most widely acknowledged and officially recognized in history as the record holder for the greatest number of children born to a single woman. However, it is worth emphasizing that Eve's fertility is regarded as unparalleled in the entire span of human history, given that she lived an extraordinarily long life according to biblical accounts, extending all the way to the impressive age of 900 years. This exceptional lifespan and her remarkable fertility set her apart from everyone else recorded in ancient history, making her a unique figure whose biological and spiritual significance have continued to inspire discussions and interpretations for generations. Moreover, according to long-standing traditional beliefs and ancient stories, Adam and Eve were believed to have had a considerable number of children. While exact numbers vary depending on different sources and interpretations, it is generally estimated that their offspring numbered approximately 70, or perhaps even more. These beliefs have been passed down through generations and form a significant part of many cultural and religious narratives surrounding the origins of humanity. The idea of their large family underscores the notion of a rapidly expanding human population starting from a single pair, as depicted in many historical and spiritual accounts. Some speculations suggest that due to their robust health, strength, and the cultural context that favored procreation, they may have had hundreds of sons and daughters. In Genesis 6:1, it is mentioned that as the descendants of Adam multiplied on earth, many beautiful daughters were born. An interesting aspect often overlooked is that both the sons and daughters of Adam and Eve had their own distinct ethnic lineages. Initially, Adam and Eve represented a mixed race, contributing to the ethnic diversity observed in humanity. This diversity is evident in the countless ethnicities and races we see today, all sharing a common origin in Adam and Eve. The study of mitochondrial DNA, known as Mitochondrial Eve, reinforces this idea by indicating that all of humanity shares a common ancestry. Despite the ethnic and racial diversity present in the world, this genetic study reveals that all people descend from the same woman, highlighting the interconnectedness. Did you know about the story of Adam and Eve's daughters? Feel free to leave your comments. Additionally, if you have suggestions for new topics or characters from scriptures that you would like to see in a video, please share them. Thank you for watching thus far and see you soon. Richness of ethnic and racial diversity in our global community.